The pattern was put together and cut out using the cutting lines, and the dotted line is the sewing line. And there are clip marks, so each valley will be clipped to the seam line after this is sewn. This also was marked with a Mark Be Gone pen. This will disappear with a damp cloth after I get the quilting done. I could have also used a number 2 pencil, but this is my fave. Don't set an iron to it. It will make the marking permanent. Just reminding. I have to remind myself a lot of things. So this is completely marked. Here again I'm using the flannel back satin. Seems to be nice to work with, and it looks beautiful quilted. This is just a piece of lightweight fabric that I'm using Eleanor Burns' applique method. I usually use a lightweight fusible interfacing, but since I can't put an iron to the marking, I'm just using this fabric and to turn the edges nicely, so I don't have to do pressing the edges, or this is just an easier method for me than my fave applique method. So I'm going to sew all around and clip it out and then turn it, and it'll be ready to applique onto the background. The seam allowance is 1/4 inch. I have the needle in a needle down position because I've a lot of twisting and turning here on the ends of the feathers. And I'm leaving a good sized opening to turn the wing, and now to trim away all the excess. Around so I can turn it. So it's all clipped out, clipped into the valleys, and ready to turn. I have the wings pinned onto the background. The background is also the flannel back satin. And they're ready to machine applique on, and that's the next step before quilting. On this, I decided to put the wings on point, just because, I guess. When the baby's laying on it, maybe give more headroom. So I'll try it. Maybe next one will be on the square. I'm almost done appliquing the wings on, and I'm using my favorite applique stitch, which is a blanket stitch. And I'm just showing this elemental step in pinning a quilt top to a quilt back together, just in case you haven't seen it anywhere. I have my quilt back here, and this needs to be fairly taut so that you'll have a nice smooth back when you're quilting and no puckers. I have the batting here. This is my cutting board, and this actually is just a 50 by 50 square, so it'll fit on here. This is the center, and then I'll be moving this over, the edges over, to pin them. And I have the back clipped with clothespins and binder's clips to keep it taut while I'm pinning the center. For machine quilting, you can pin baste, and that's what I'm going to do since I'm going to be machine quilting this piece. So I'll smooth the top on. The backing is cut a couple of inches larger than the quilt top, and that's to make up for any stretch that you might get while you're quilting the top. The wings again are on point, so they're running on the diagonal rather than straight across the quilt. The quilt is all pin basted, ready to take it to the machine and quilt. I decided at the last minute to throw on a marking for a cloud or two here using the water-soluble marking pen, and then maybe a few birds back in the distance if you can make out those marks. Just gave myself a hint so that I can quilt those in before I start quilting in kind of just random line drawings to indicate wind or air movement. But I'm going to start on the wings and get the, because that's the most in-depth quilting it's going to be on this piece. So I'm finishing up the quilting on the second wing. I'm using what's called a fabric mover. It moves all three layers at once, so you don't have, supposed not to have any puckers on the back of your fabric. There is one hole that the fabric moves around in, floats around in, but you have to keep moving the square. The quilting is all done on the angel wings, and you can see the marks are still on there from the Mark Be Gone pen. And all it takes now is a damp cloth, and you just dab it on there, and the marks are gone. Just takes a damp cloth and the marks come off. And this is the reason I use this pen, because if I use the pen where the marks go away in 24 hours, nada. I don't know if I'm ever going to get anything done in 24 hours time. Marks be gone and I'd have to remark, so I'll just finish dabbing the marks off and the quilt's done. In the Angelic Baby quilt pattern, there are 2 sets of wings for different patterns. This is the first one. And this is the different set of wings. It's a little larger. But both sets can be used set this way or you can turn them this way. Makes a perfect portrait quilt to turn that little angel into an angel. This set is not sewn down yet, as you can see, but it'll make it one of these days.